Transformers!
Dark Mirror, Chapter 4. Takanuva, Takua, and Taragaduma walked in single file through the depths of the archives, followed by the silent Toa Tuyet. The ruler of the Toa Empire had not spoken a word since capturing the three of them, simply gestured with her barbed broadsword for them to get moving. They marched for what seemed like hours, through twists and turns, past long-forgotten exhibits, and into regions that probably even the archive caretakers didn't know existed. Takanuva was puzzled. Tuyet could have just brought them back to a cell on the surface, or for that matter, killed them. Why go on a tour of the archives? Things got even more disturbing and bizarre as they rounded a corner and entered a large chamber. In the back were a half-dozen badly damaged Rakshi and an Exo-Toa armored suit missing its right arm. Even more surprising was the sight of two figures clad in black armor who sprang to their feet at the sight of the newcomers, shadow energy crackling in their hands. Takanuva turned around, but Tuyet was no longer there. Standing in her place was another Makuta, this one wearing a scarred and pitted Kanohi How. When he spoke, it was in the familiar grating voice of the Makuta of metru-nui. "A simple strategy," he said. "Tuyet has left us little choice but to use our shape-shifting powers when we venture out. Even then we risk capture, just as we have captured you." "I don't understand," said Takanuva. "Why aren't you wearing the Mask of Shadows? I saw it hanging in the archives." Makuta gave Takanuva a look that would have chilled the snow atop Mount Ihu. "The mask is warded. If it is so much as touched, Tuyet and her minions will know at once. She keeps it there unguarded as a taunt to me, knowing I long for it and cannot touch it." The two other Makuta and those Rakshi that could still move closed in. "But you are not so protected, Toa. Give me one good reason why we should not kill you now as your kind has killed ours for so many centuries." "I'm not," Takanuva began, then stopped as he debated how much to tell his captors. These were, after all, Makuta, the most evil beings in the universe from which he came. Here, though, they were hunted fugitives in a world gone mad. "I'm not one of Tuyet's Toa. My name is Takanuva. I am a Toa of Light." The three Makuta recoiled. Takanuva could understand why. A Toa of Light was the ultimate weapon against beings of shadow. "Listen to me," he continued. "I come from someplace else, where there is no Tuyet, no Toa Empire. I can't claim I understand what happened here, but I do know this. I don't belong here, and I need to get back to my own universe." The three Makuta were silent for a moment. Then they began to laugh, a horrible sound that echoed throughout the chamber for long minutes. "And just how," said the Makuta of metru-nui, "do you propose to get back to this universe of yours, my poor mad Toa?" "By finding the one who sent me on my journey," Takanuva replied, "a being named Brutaka." One of the Makuta nodded. He was tall, with armor lined with short, curved, and very sharp blades. "I have heard legends of a Brutaka. It's said he is a great hero who guards a valuable treasure. But in Matoran legend, every pile of rocks is a treasure, every rahi larger than a stone rat is a monster, and anyone who doesn't scream and run when the thunder cracks is a hero of great courage." "Very true, Krika, very true indeed," said the Makuta of metru-nui. "Very well, then. You, Toa, are either a liar, or fool, or a madman, I know not which. But if you need our help, you will have to pay a price." "And what is that price?" asked Takanuva. "A Matoran expedition escorted by a pair of Toa left metru-nui weeks ago, bound for the island of Artaka," said Makuta. "They would retrieve an object of power, a legendary Mask of Time, one of the few weapons that might be effective against Tuyet. By now they have it and are on their way back. I want you to attack their force and steal the mask for us. In return, we will smuggle you out of the city so you can find your Brutaka. But be warned, the Matoran leader is a fanatic who would rather die than surrender his prize. You will have to grant him his wish." "And just who is this leader?" asked Takanuva. "No one you would know," said Makuta Krika. "A Tamatoran, someone named Jala." To be continued. Dark Mirror, Chapter 5. Toa Takanuva had experienced many strange things since arriving at what he now knew had to be some kind of alternate universe, but nothing quite equaled what he was experiencing right at the moment, the sensation of flying under his own power over a vast stretch of ocean. Even stranger was the fact that he had Makuta to thank for this ability. After telling him roughly where to look for the caravan that would be carrying the Mask of Time, Makuta Krika had commented that he would never be able to intercept them in time by sea, even if he managed to steal a boat and slip away from metru-nui. Flight was the best choice. Before Takanuva could argue that he didn't have the ability to fly, Krika had blown a fine powder into his face. The Toa of Light couldn't help but breathe it in. With a laugh, Krika explained that he had just been exposed to a Makuta virus, which would, at least temporarily, give him the power of flight. If it had any other side effects, Krika chose not to say. Takanuva didn't know whether to thank him or hit him. Still, his directions had been good. Up ahead on the land, Takanuva spotted an Ussel crab-drawn cart driven by a Matoran, flanked by a Toa of Ice and a Toa of Earth mounted on Muaka tigers. Takanuva could only guess that both cart and Rahi had been loaded and unloaded from a ship, since part of the journey to Artaka had to be made by sea. Despite the Makuta's warning that he would have to kill the Toa and the Matoran with them, Jala, Takanuva had another idea. He was a Toa, after all, in a world dominated by them. It was worth trying anyway. He landed right in front of the cart, prompting Jala to rein it to an abrupt halt. The two Toa raised their spears and shields and took a step forward. "Who are you?" said the black-armored warrior. "Speak or face the power of my seismic spear." "What my grim friend is trying to say," said the Toa of Ice, "is that we were not expecting visitors, not even multi-toned ones such as yourself. Surprises make us nervous, and when we are nervous, other beings sometimes get hurt." "Lower your weapons," said the Toa of Light. "My name is Takanuva. I am here on business of the Empire." "I am Toa Koalas," said the white-armored Toa. "My surly friend is Toa Bomanga. And what might your business be, Takanuva?" "I don't trust him," said Jala. Takanuva barely recognized him in his red Kanohi Komau. "Kodan keeps a record of every Toa in the universe, and I've never seen his name before." Takanuva fired a thin beam of light at Jala, shooting the reins out of his hands. Puku, the Ussel crab, reared up, startled. "When I want your opinion, Matoran, I'll ask for it," Takanuva said, trying to sound like a Toa from this universe. Koalas' response was a blast of ice from his Sub-Zero spear, but Takanuva easily shadowed it with another light beam. Bomanga made a move to attack, but the Toa of Light temporarily blinded him with a flare. "If you're done," said Takanuva. "Tuyet has received word of a plan to steal the Mask of Time. She has decided that 2 Toa are not enough to guard it, particularly you 2. So she has sent me to join you." "And just what makes you the right choice?" growled Bomanga. The Toa of Light thought fast. "Have you ever heard of Takutanuva?" Both Toas shook their heads. "How about Gralak, the mighty ash bear?" Again they shook their heads. "And I suppose you haven't heard of the beasts of Mount Ihu, or the flame serpents of the Trencrom Break, or even," he dropped his voice for effect, "even the Koli creature of Gawahi." "We haven't heard of any of those things," said Koalas. Takanuva smiled, raised his lance high, and then plunged it into the sand in front of the 2 Toa. "There is a reason you haven't heard of them, brothers, and if I could defeat them, I can surely handle the threat to the Vahi." Bomanga and Koalas glanced at each other. Then Koalas shrugged. "Very well, brother. You may travel with us to metru-nui, but since you are so powerful, why don't you walk in front of us? That way you can meet any challenge head-on. Incidentally, who is it that plans to try to steal this mask from us?" "A very powerful and evil being called Brutaka," Takanuva replied. This time, the 2 Toa obviously recognized the name. Bomanga even smiled. "You know of him, then?" asked Takanuva. "And well I should," said Bomanga. He plunged his spear into the ground next to Takanuva's lance. "After all, I killed him." To be continued.